All right, in case anyone's here trying to figure out how to tear apart this stupid ass boxer motor from a FRS, BRZ, whatever, you know, the pre-new GT86s and all that. GR86 is the new one. But in case anyone's curious on the process of how much of a pain in the ass this thing is, so you can see I have it torn apart. This is the, what side is this? This is the driver's side, I reckon. The crankshaft or the flywheel is over here. You're gonna have to take off the flywheel if you want to pull this apart, because this annoying, stupid ass piece of shit plate thing like restricts you from pulling it apart, because this will go like that and it'll hold it together. So this is the other side. So like the teeth of this thing and the shape of it will actually like literally lock it together and you can't pull it apart. So you have to take it off. And I found that out the hard way of taking it off when I was trying to do this, because I was like, oh, I could just keep it attached to the crankshaft. Nope, doesn't work that way. Sorry, but you gotta take it off. It's a bit of a pain. So anyways, we have the driver's side right here. I'm pretty sure this is the driver's side, because if I have it, yeah, this is. Because if I have it right side up, this is the top, this is the bottom, and the flywheel goes back here, so you can figure out that's the driver's side. Also, the crank position sensor is on the driver's side, and this is the passenger side. So the trick that I found to getting it off is there's really no pry points on this thing. So right here where the driver's side and the passenger side meet up of the block, right here is where your bell housing mounts to, like this part. So this is where the transmission mounts to. So as you can see, like right here, I mean, it looks like a mating surface, obviously, but it's not really important because it's not sealing anything here. So you can see right here, it's not sealing anything because there's no fluids going on the inside of here or the outside of here. I mean, best case, it's sealing the outside air out of it, I guess you could say. But I mean, it could get in any other way, and like rain and stuff like that. But I pried here. You can't exactly get a screwdriver or anything in there to begin with, so I put these two screws on top. These two screws go to your transmission wires. There's like two little plugs. I think one's brown and one's green or something. So I had those on. One's here. So they're exactly like opposite each other. One's on one half of the block and the other's on the other. So what I had to do was I had to grab the pry bar and I had to adjust the screws to where I could use the pry bar to pry against them. Or not screws, bolts. I'm not a mechanic, obviously. And then right over here as well, there's a kind of a pry point. Where is that on the block? It's over here. I think it's right here. Somewhere over here, I believe, is where it is. Oh no, I'm on the wrong side. I'm an idiot. Right here. Yeah, right here. This is literally the only pry point on this entire thing from what I've found. But right here, as you can see, it's all chewed up. So I didn't go on the mating surface, obviously, because then it won't seal and you'll have a lot of problems. So I had to pry here. So you just stick your pry bar in like that. It's best if you go on the fat side instead of on the skinny side, like right here. See how thin this piece is? And it's like the same on here too. If you go in there, you're just gonna dig into it and round off your corners, which I might have done a little bit here. So, I mean, that might be fine. This is going to machine shop anyways, so it's not like it's gotta be like crazy perfect, but I mean, don't try and score your surfaces if you don't have to. Like, you're just wasting time and money at that point. You're gonna wanna take all your sensors off and all that stuff too. I've been bagging everything that I do, so everything is all in bags, all my nuts and bolts. I'm gonna replace this again, because why the hell not? I ordered the wrong one. This is one for the automatic transmission. The automatic transmission has some kind of oil cooler or cooling system to the transmission, or I don't even know, something like that. And that's what this line is. It's an extra cooling line. And then also the automatic transmission. I don't remember where it is. There's like a little plate, a little cam plate on the back of the engine. It's on the passenger side of the engine, so I think should be somewhere over here. There's like a little plate thing. Oh no, it's on the heads. I'm stupid. It's on the heads instead. The heads are also a bit of a pain to pry apart too. That's another fun thing. But here is another bit of useful information. So I'm going to use this information for myself later when I'm rebuilding this too. But crankshaft, you know, crankshaft, spinny boy. So, I mean, it's pretty simple with putting everything back together. Oh my God, this thing weighs a ton. So, you know, crankshaft. Yeah. So, easiest way to line this thing up is this big piece goes right here. Goes right here. It's very hard to point and not drop this thing, hurling towards my foot and absolutely obliterating it. But also, you stay, don't fall. Also, these bearings too, best way to push them out is to push down on one side, and then you can kind of pull them out. I don't know if there's a more proper way to do it where you won't potentially score anything, but that's the way that I've been doing it. When you're putting these back in, you're gonna have to make note of this little keyway thing. One side has it, the other side doesn't. And you're also gonna have to make note of what side has it on here. So again, this is the passenger side of the block. And you can tell that by the orientation of the block. And then the crank position sensor is also your big tell. That's the easiest way. The PCV valve is on the passenger side. The crank position sensor is on the driver's side. Easy enough. So you gotta remember, these bearings go in, and you can see that little keyway thing. This side has the keyway thing, and this side does not. So it just goes in. Oh, it just goes in, and then it just sits in there. It's pretty easy. I mean, you'll be able to see if it looks messed up. Like right here, it's a little tricky to tell that this isn't part of it, because right here you can see, oh my God, I am sorry for the crummy quality. Right here, it kind of looks like that is that keyway, but it's not. It's just a piece of, I guess, gasket or something. It's very hard to tell, and it kind of actually got me tricked because I put it in backwards when I was putting it back in. So same on this side. You know, you got your little keyway, you got your little accepting keyway, and the little tiny bearings go in there. Just line them up, put them down, stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Ayo, I'm fucking it up. Oh my God. That is gonna be a problem for the machine shop. So these stripe looking ones, they go, one goes right here, you know, in the middle. And then, I don't know if these two are exactly the same. The one that goes on the side where the flywheel bolts, this one is actually a lot different because it has these little clip things, I guess you'd call them. And I think that these clips are, I don't know, supposed to like help seal it or something. I honestly have no idea. And then there's this like big O-ring thing that goes on the end of the crankshaft where the flywheel goes in. So I don't know. It beats me. Then you have your pistons. You know, pistons do what pistons do. They go up and down, you know, and they make fuel and they make bang and they make power. But these pistons, they're not doing that because they're not in the engine, obviously. Duh. What are you, stupid? You gotta orient the pistons the right way when you're putting them back in. I have pictures and stuff of them, but you gotta remember which orientation. So what I did was I had the block facing one particular way. I think I had it upside down. So this part was facing upwards. And when I would take a piston out, I would, you know, take it out of the block. Obviously it didn't have this bottom rod or this bottom, whatchamacallit on it right here. But I would take it out and I would pull it. I wouldn't twist it, turn it, or anything. I would keep it the exact same way that I pulled it out. I would show you with my right hand, but my left hand will have to do. But I would pull it out like that, and then I would hold it like kind of in a way where you can see the orientation of the block, and you can also see the orientation of the piston. Because when you're rebuilding your engine, you're going to have to put in the piston pins here to the connecting rod and then the piston head. You're also going to have to do your rings, your compression rings, and then your oil ring and all that fun stuff. When you're doing your rings, make sure you offset them. Like, see this gap here? So you want your gaps to not be straight down. You want them to be 180 degrees apart. So this gap is here, right? So you want the other one to be like this next one down. You want it to be on the exact opposite side where that gap is. So where is it? It is not like that. So right across should be about here. That's like where you'll want your rings to meet up. Yeah, this one is like really in a bad spot. Yeah, oh man. Yeah, see, one's there and one's there. You don't want that. You want them to be exactly opposite each other because you'll get a better seal that way, and it just works better, and you'll have less like cylinder blow-by. Cylinder blow-by is when you have exhaust fumes pretty much that go through past the piston rings, and it'll collect in your oil pan, and it'll essentially like cause your oil level to rise because blow-by it's basically just oil. Like it's weird. It's kind of like oil. That's what the PCV is for, positive crank vent. So the way that works is it takes that cylinder blow-by and it circulates it somewhere. Now you could have a catch can, which it will just collect in there, and you don't have to worry about it. You just have to empty it every now and then. Coalescer is the other name for it. Or you can have it how it's the stock way that it's set up on this car is it recirculates into the intake manifold, so that way it just gets reintroduced into the combustion chamber and it eventually goes through the exhaust in that turn. If you don't do that, the problems you could face if this valve is broken, clogged, or it's not letting it do its job and getting rid of that excess oil stuff, it'll collect in your oil pan. I believe you could have high oil pressure, like higher than normal, which, I mean, you could cause an engine to blow up that way. Or the most common way that you'll cause your engine to explode is that when you have too much oil in your engine, too much oil in your oil pan and all that, what'll happen is your crankshaft essentially will beat it like eggs. Like if you've ever made meringue, you know, you take like these two little egg beater things and you just beat the fuck out of the eggs with them, like the egg whites, and then it turns into like almost like marshmallow and shit. Your oil will pretty much do the same thing. Like it's just mixed with air. It's just like air and oil, and it's not going to lubricate because it's basically like a shit ton of bubbles in it, and it's not going to work, and you're going to have no lubrication in some spots. And, you know, the most common thing that happens is your pistons, you know, they're going in and out in their in the cylinder walls, and what happens is if you don't have oil, you're going to have your piston head is going to seize to the side of your cylinder wall, and when the crankshaft rotates, it's forcing this basically welded piston in your cylinder wall. It's forcing this connecting rod, you know, to bend, and that's when you'll throw a rod. Your rod it'll bend to the point where it breaks, and it'll snap, and it'll just eject out the top or the side of your block or anything. And that's one of the most common reasons why people's engines blow, is usually because of oil. Like, oil is like 90% of the problem. And on these cars, the reason why these engines blow when you turbo them is because these connecting rods just can't handle that much power. They're not that great of connecting rods in terms of like high horsepower. I mean, I don't know this for a fact. I don't know what the proper, you know, specifications are for this car or this engine and what it can handle in terms of horsepower, but I hear people say on the forums and all that is usually if you keep it under 300 horsepower, that's about the limit. Anything above that, you're rolling the dice and your connecting rod just can't handle that anymore. I mean, if you go above that, you're also going to run into a lot of other issues like your transmission, your differential, your drive shaft, your axles. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff you got to worry about when you start making some real serious power. But the primary thing is your connecting rods. Like, those are like probably the weakest link in the entire engine itself, at least from what I've heard and seen online. Also, when you're doing the rebuild too, when I told you I took those pictures with it like that, I also made a note of what side of the piston this is. So as you can see, you can also tell the size or the side of the piston based on the valves. So these valve heads, I believe they're two different. I want to say that this is the exhaust side and this is the intake side, but I could be wrong. What you could do is you could compare that to the cylinder head and measure up the valves, because one valve should basically sit in here and one valve shouldn't. And I don't know if these are interference motors or not, because like the valves and the shape of the piston and all this really makes me believe that it isn't, but I honestly have no idea. I'm learning as I'm going. Engines are fun, you know, car stuff is fun. Crankshafts are really fucking heavy, even though they're like really tiny, especially this one. This shit's like 50 fucking pounds, I swear. There we go. And yeah, engine stuff. If you need any help on your engine rebuilds, want some advice or ways that I went about stuff, I mean, feel free to put something in the comments. I'll try and answer. I'm a little slow at answering, especially on YouTube. But I'm just making this video just to help people out, you know, let them know what to do, what not to do. They could look up the video and get an idea of how something works, and believe me, that helps a lot, and it's very underrated, and it's very hard to find information sometimes on these things because so little amount of people have made videos about it. And I've run into that issue myself trying to find out information. So yeah, just if it helps, I mean, hey, leave a like. Also, when I separated the block, I also smacked this with a mallet. I smacked it, where's my mallet? I'm grabbing me mallet. So I smacked it like that, you know, to kind of break it apart. And it took some serious beans, you know what I'm fucking saying? Some real fucking cheddar. Some real fucking black beans and some real refined beans went into this fucking thing, you know? But it's all good now. It's all separated. I just need to take off my sensors and all that shit, you know, figure it out, and then let's bring it to the machine shop. Machine shop quoted me $2,000 for the block to be bored, measured, whatever, all that shit. And then the heads to be resurfaced and a valve job to be redone because my valves are fucked up, because why not? Result of no oil. Because this piece of shit, this stupid bed plate, upper oil pan, whatever, requires this O-ring, and when you buy a new one, it does not have this O-ring on it, and I didn't realize that because I'm stupid. And this O-ring goes to your oil pump right here, And if you don't get a good seal, you're not going to get oil pressure throughout your car, and you're going to have shit like this happen. So what happened was I wasn't getting any oil anywhere, and, you know, I was cranking the car, trying to start the damn thing, and my valves, they were like skipping around because they had no oil, and they lost their seat, and they just got hella fucked up. And yeah, I don't know what's wrong with the engine side of it, aside from the valves. I don't know what's wrong with the block, if there is anything wrong with the block. I don't know if there's anything wrong with the cylinders. You know, I honestly have no idea. So I'm just going to send it off to the machine shop, get it spec'd out, find out my my cylinder diameter, and all that fun shit. And I would highly suggest finding a good machine shop that knows how to work on these engines. If you're gonna rebuild it into, you know, a good build that's not gonna blow up. I'm gonna put it together myself. I'm just bringing it to the machine shop to get, you know, the machine work done, which I obviously can't do because I don't have the equipment, time, experience, any of that shit. I'm just gonna pay someone to do it, and, you know, there's no harm, no foul in that. You could also pay somebody to just build the entire engine for you. You could just buy a fully built engine online. I think it's a lot cooler saying you built your own. You know, my friend kind of enticed me on that one. And now here I am building this stupid fucking motor. And it's quite the process. It's quite fun at the same time, though. I actually kind of enjoy it. But yeah, fucking boxer motors. I'm going to be real fucking mad if I build this thing and I forgot a fucking O-ring or something stupid, or I finally go to turbo it and it just fucking blows up. I'm going to be like, well, there goes fucking $7 grand down the drain, because internals are not cheap. A set of internals, pistons, rods, or the piston heads, rods, fucking crankshaft, bearings, you know, pins, rings, all that shit. It's around $5 grand, somewhere around there. You could get the HKS stroker kit. I think that one's $3 grand. Turns it into a 2.1 liter, which it's kind of weird. I think the connecting rod length is different, or is different or something. I'm not entirely sure how that works. I'm going with fully forged internals, Manly rods, or yeah, Manly rods. I want to say Manly piston heads. I can't recall. I'm talking with MA Performance. It's really helpful people on that website. Highly recommend giving them a call. I talked to this guy, Kyle Shellum, I think his name was. Very, very informative, and he was like, I'm not even the best one for these engines. They do have other people, so don't just stop at one guy. Like, they'll all help you, because the premise on them is like they were tired of dealing with stupid companies that suck and don't get back to you. Like RR Racing with my stupid fucking brakes that was like a $3,000, $4,000 endeavor that ended up being a shit show, which these stupid ass brakes are in here actually. They're Willwoods. I have no idea what the specs or any of that shit is on them. And they looked nice as fuck on the car, but they did not work. And I was having uneven braking, and my traction control light would come on every 2 seconds. There was a bracket that went here, and they got the sizing wrong. They fucked up the bracket, and it was my expense. And no matter what I did to contact them, they just basically ignored me. So yeah, living life the fun way. Flywheel, yeah. Exhaust, yeah. Cylinder heads and camshafts, yeah. Also, I'd recommend, if you're gonna be doing this kind of stuff too, try and keep everything from rusting. I've been putting like rags, shop rags, and just soaking them in WD-40 and just laying them on top. Nice. Stupid glove rip. These gloves are pieces of shit. So I would just try and do that. You know, keep everything from rusting, keep it all good. I wouldn't really worry about the contaminants if you're going to hot tank your engine, if you're going to have the shop do it, I should say. And also, recommend having gloves. It's pretty nice, pretty handy. I also have some cornmeal to dry off my hands, and it makes them easier to put in these gloves that rip literally every 2 fucking seconds because they're shit. Also, get a bunch of sandwich bags. Makes it pretty easy. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. It's wish you good luck. Let me know if this video helps you. Let me know if you have any questions you need answered. It's good to know the position of the crankshaft to the pistons in terms of what timing is, where top dead center is, and you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm probably going to make a video of me putting it back together, or at least steps along the way. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see when we get there. But yeah, this shit's in pieces, just like my life. Hell yeah. Yep.